You're with Johnny Vedmore on today's News Talk, TNT.
Of course, we're looking at agendas happening all over the world, but a lot of it is tech agendas. So we were just saying about, the tech war that's happening, the technology that's being used on the front lines of a place like a conflict like Russia versus Ukraine is a brilliant place for them to test out all of their new gadgets and gizmos and drones that can blow people up in 2 seconds, etc. Do you think that a lot of this, you said, it benefits both sides? Do you think it benefits each side's creation of their institutions, at the same time their development of technology?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is actually the focus of my PhD research. So my PhD project has been exploring how the United States has put all of these new technological capabilities like artificial intelligence really on a pedestal, and how it's tried to move full speed ahead to achieve all these technological capabilities. So I've looked at things like the Defense Innovation Board, the Defense Innovation Unit, which essentially take top flight corporate elites, bring them into the military political world, and are trying to exploit their knowledge base to generate technological outcomes for the US military. And again, eventually people will be able to read this when I finally publish the PhD, hopefully this summer. Hopefully this summer. It's been a long road, but I'm finally getting there. But in terms of Ukraine, yeah, Pentagon war planners are looking at the war in Ukraine, and from practically day one have seen this as an opportunity to test their military capabilities, test new weapons, test new capabilities, test even new tactics and ways of doing business. If you think the CIA, the NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office, the NSA have not been supplying Ukraine with extensive intelligence throughout this whole conflict, you're living in fantasy land. That has been going on again from day one. So Pentagon war planners, they look at this and they see an opportunity to test what are the US military capabilities against the Russian military. This is a perfect time for them to test all of those things out. And of course, that's taken the form of anti-tank weapons, missile systems, rocket systems, different even fighter systems, fighter jet systems. But the big one that I spent a lot of time focused on, probably around this time last year, the tanks, the Abrams tanks, the much vaunted technological capability of the US military, the tank that is really shown the world over as the most technologically advanced tank capable of doing anything that you want it to do. Well, what has it done on Ukrainian battlefields? Well, they've sent somewhere in the region of 30 of these, and about 3 of them have been destroyed, at least, already. So that's 10% of these tanks that have been destroyed. That, of course, is not good. But what we're really seeing is that this is a reversion, again, to military development that's happened time and time and time again. After the US dropped the 2 nuclear weapons on Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Americans sent over delegations of medical experts, doctors, nurses, people like this, to those sites that had been hit in Japan. Now, you might think to yourself, well, that's great. The Americans, they realized what they did here. They sent over some doctors, some nurses, some people to help out these poor Japanese, that they realized they had just nuked them and the consequences this may have. That's not what these delegations were for. They were there to do medical tests on the victims of the American nuclear bombs. So they were there to figure out, where were you when the bomb went off? What happened to you as a result of it? Not to treat you and perhaps keep you alive. They were there to purely experiment on Japanese people. So we have a long storied history of all of this stuff going on. And again, there's no real ethics going into this whatsoever. This is the pure, unabashed, unleashed military-industrial complex that's going full steam ahead. And like we said before the break, the only entity that wins here is the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, and the tanks you're talking about there, I mean, we've seen the development of mechanized artillery, mechanized armor, which is what this is. They're trying to bridge that gap between old school armor and the futuristic warfare, and eventually we'll see mechanized infantry as well, and that will be a really worrying aspect. And of course, so one of the things I've done research on is the mentors of Klaus Schwab, and one of them was John Kenneth Galbraith, who was actually one of the first people sent over to Hiroshima and Nagasaki to start assessing the damage and what these bombs actually do. And some of when you research that period, you find that these humans are completely awful creatures. The British actually didn't want to nuke Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They wanted to drop fire upon Tokyo because they knew that more people would die in the paper and like light wood houses that Tokyo had in abundance than would die in nuclear attacks. But of course, the Americans wanted to drop the atomic bomb. So that's what they do. And a lot of this is the development of the next generation of weapons. When do you think we'll see, you say like 10% of the armor that goes over there is currently being depleted? We could say that statistically might change over time. When do you see it being that they've got the weapons of the future? How far away do you think we are from seeing mechanized infantry, artillery, and armor crossing over to a point where they just can't be destroyed?
Yeah, very interesting question. I'm not sure that I could put a date on that for sure, but I would direct people to go and look at Boston Dynamics. So this is the big robotic manufacturer based in the United States that you get the robot dog from, and also these humanoid robots that they have lots of clips of them doing manual labor, like picking up boxes and moving them around. Now, this is basically what these robots are doing, right? They're picking it up, moving it, dropping it, like very robotic, very simple movements. Now, they have these humanoid robots doing backflips, they push them over and they get themselves back up. So just imagine that. And then you put a weapon in its hand. Yes, that is the world that we are moving towards. Now, the real issue here is that, well, does that mean that global conflict is likely to become even more prevalent than it is today? Because what does that say to a military leader? It says, or even a political leader as well, military and political leaders. It says, well, you can go and fight a war, and you can keep fighting it for as long as you've got the robotic army to fight that war. There's no longer any worries about losing troops or the bad PR that generates, or the boys coming back in coffins draped in national flags. None of that stuff is a problem anymore. All you need to do is just press the button and away goes the robot army, and off you are to the races. This is the very real world that we are moving into. Now, again, in terms of timeline, I'm not sure, but I think the next decade is going to be very interesting, at least. And you look at places like Iran as well. Iran even has been mass producing these drones that have been used by Russia. So it's very easy to produce some of these technologies. The more advanced ones, of course, going to take more time, more effort, and a lot more money, more expertise. But we're definitely heading down this road, and it's going to be a scary road for sure.
This is Johnny Vedmore on today's News Talk TNT.